What's the first image that comes to mind when you hear South Korea? A few decades ago, the answer would have been Samsung, Hyundai, or perhaps the tense border with North Korea. Today, the answer is almost instantaneous. BTS, BLACKPINK, Squid Game. The list is endless. From a nation known for its technology and resilience, Korea has transformed into a global cultural powerhouse. Its top exports are no longer computer chips, but the infectious rhythms of Kpop and the stories that make us laugh, cry, and dream. But this transformation didn't happen by chance. It wasn't a passing fad. It's the result of a meticulous plan, a crisis overcome, and a cultural revolution called Hallyu. In this video, we'll dive deep into that story. We'll go from the starting point, the devastating economic crisis of 1997, to the global explosion of BTS, the massive success of Squid Game, and the future of Hallyu. Get ready for a complete journey through the heart of Korean entertainment.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
To understand this phenomenon, we need to go back in time to the late 90s. South Korea was going through one of the worst financial crises in its history. The currency's value plummeted, major companies like Daewoo went bankrupt, and the country needed a massive loan from the International Monetary Fund. It was a severe blow to the self-esteem of a nation that had rebuilt itself from scratch after the Korean War. It was in this moment of desperation that the government made a bold decision, inspired by the success of Hollywood. They realized that the soft power of culture could be a new and inexhaustible source of exports. The plan was simple and brilliant. Instead of just exporting industrial goods, they would export stories, music, and style. In 1999, the government founded the Korean Creative Content Agency, KOSAISA, which began providing financial and logistical support to the cultural industry. The first major success was the film Shiri, which sold more tickets in South Korea than Titanic. It was a clear sign that the Korean public wanted to consume their own culture, and the industry was ready to deliver. Meanwhile, the seed of what would become K-pop was already planted. In the 90s, an artist named Seo Taiji shocked the nation by mixing pop, rock, and rap, creating a fervent and dedicated fan base, the Taijis. Then came the groups that would define the first generation of idols, like H.O.T., a boy group that sold millions of albums and was at the center of a fanatical fandom. The difference? These groups weren't just musicians. They were complete artists, trained in dance and performance, with a carefully managed image. Korea wasn't just creating a music industry, it was creating a star factory. What makes the K-pop industry so unique and efficient? The answer lies in its rigorous trainee system. Thousands of talented young people, some as young as 10 or 11, enter agencies in the hope of becoming idols. The routine is brutal. Dance, vocal, and rap training for up to 12 hours a day, language classes, and even etiquette lessons. It's an investment of time, money, and talent, where only a small percentage manage to debut. At the top of this pyramid are the giants: SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment, and JYP Entertainment, the famous Big Three. SM is known for its polished visual aesthetic and groups like TVXQ and Girls' Generation. YG with a more hip-hop-focused sound and artists like Big Bang and 2NE1. And JYP, which prioritizes talent and performance, with groups like Wonder Girls and Twice. But the game changed for good when Hybe, a small agency at the time, bet on a group of 7 boys. Yes, we're talking about BTS. They emerged outside the traditional circuit, faced skepticism, and with a sincere and universal message about youth, mental health, and self-love, built an army of loyal fans, the ARMY. They used social media in an unprecedented way to connect with their audience, breaking down the barrier between idol and fan, and showing the power of authenticity in the digital age. They didn't just sell albums, they sold a connection, a community.
Oh my god, I've been a fan of BTS since since their debut. I love them so much.
I love you.
And we can't talk about K-pop without mentioning BLACKPINK.
Ain't a bad girl, I know I am, and I'm so hot, I need a fan.
They redefined what it means to be a global girl group. With an impeccable fashion aesthetic, partnerships with major luxury brands, and powerful beats, they became a phenomenon. Each member became an ambassador for haute couture brands, showing that K-pop isn't just music, but a global icon of style and influence. Their fans, the Blinks, are an unstoppable force on social media, ensuring the group is always at the top of conversations and charts. If K-pop won over our ears and our feeds, K-dramas won over our hearts. In the beginning, they were mainly romantic melodramas that were a huge success in Asia. Series like Winter Sonata, 2002, created a wave of tourism in South Korea, with fans from Japan and China visiting filming locations. But the real revolution came with the advent of streaming. The arrival of platforms like Netflix and Viki was the main catalyst for the globalization of K-dramas, tearing down the language and distribution barriers that had previously limited their reach. Suddenly, stories about medieval zombies in Kingdom, forbidden romances in Crash Landing on You, and psychological thrillers in Extracurricular were available to millions of people on different continents. And then, in 2021, the world stopped to watch a game of life and death. Squid Game became the most watched series in Netflix history, reaching over 100 million households in its first month. Why such a massive success? Because the series, while Korean, touched on universally relevant themes: social inequality, financial desperation, and the fight for survival. The genius was to wrap this social critique in a visually spectacular production, with childhood games turning deadly. The success of Squid Game, combined with the historic Oscar win for the film Parasite, fully legitimized Korean entertainment in the global market. K-dramas are no longer a niche. They are a genre with an impressive variety and cinematic quality that rivals the best of Hollywood. South Korea doesn't just export music and series, it exports a way of life. The Hallyu effect is visible everywhere. The cuisine, with its famous Korean BBQ and kimchi, has become popular in cities worldwide. K-beauty, or Korean beauty, has become a global craze with its innovative skincare products and the glass skin philosophy. Fashion, inspired by K-pop idols, has become a trend on runways and streets. But the most fascinating thing is how South Korea uses its culture as soft power, a form of influence that doesn't depend on military or economic force, but rather on attraction and persuasion. The government invests in cultural events and uses artists like BTS to promote peace and cooperation at global forums, such as the UN General Assembly. The value of the Korean cultural industry already exceeds $10 billion and continues to grow, boosting tourism and the export of unrelated products. The future of Hallyu looks promising. Every year, new groups from the fourth and even fifth generations emerge. K-dramas explore new genres and themes, and Korean entertainment continues to break down barriers. The challenge now is to maintain relevance in an increasingly competitive global market. But as history has shown, South Korea has a unique talent for reinventing itself. The story of Hallyu isn't just about South Korea. It's proof that culture can be a nation's greatest weapon, capable of uniting people, overcoming language barriers, and inspiring millions. What began as a survival strategy has transformed into an unstoppable force, capable of influencing the economy, politics, and, most importantly, people's hearts. And that's why South Korea is no longer just a country. It's a phenomenon. And that is the true story behind the cultural invasion that won us over. What was the first K-drama or K-pop group you discovered? Share your story in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content like this. See you next time, and may the Hallyu wave continue to lead us to new and incredible discoveries.